Okay, cool. All right. When it comes to your life,
What life?
let me finish the question. When
Sure.
it comes to your life, is your business the main chick or is it the side chick?
Oh, I have kids, so the business is the main chick. It's made having a personal life very difficult, but we persevere.
But you persevere. Okay. Okay. But you know what? That's true, right? Because we know, and I guess we talked about this a little bit before, but owning a business is not the 9 to 5 that people leave to own their own business and think that they're going to have more time for themselves, right?
Right.
Okay, so what's a typical day like for you?
Well, I'm typically up pretty early. Historically, I've been an early riser. So, I'm up, 5:30, 6 a.m. I try to go to the gym and work out. And then typically by, 7:30, 8 o'clock, I'm in front of the computer prepping for the day, early meetings, whether it be mostly the meetings in the morning are with, the team or, vendors or partners that we're doing, business with to help us grow our business.
Mhm.
Most of my customer calls are scheduled for afternoons. I'm just much better at pitching customers early in the afternoon.
Mhm.
That's peak time for me. So 1 to 4, I'm taking customer calls. I'm typically taking sales calls during that time, and I try to stay pretty regimented with that. And
Okay.
then afterwards, we have an offshore software development team. And so in the evenings, typically after dinner, 7, 8 o'clock at night, they're coming online because they're 12 hours ahead of us in India.
Uh-huh.
And, I might be up with them, from maybe 8 to 12 or 8 to 1 in the morning with the development team, making sure that any updates that need to occur to the platform are happening. So, the days are pretty long.
Okay. Okay. And as a business owner,
Yep.
you got to be able to balance pieces of your life, right? And you
Mhm.
got to be able to take care of yourself too. So what do you do to take care of you?
That's what the workouts are for in the morning, right? That's kind of my time to have some clarity of thought and organize my day in my head. Even though I see it on paper, I still need to organize my day in my head. And what I've told other entrepreneurs in the past is, don't expect a balance. I think in a lot of ways that's wishful thinking. I think at its core, entrepreneurship is working for a long period of time, very hard without much in the way of the results. So you have to plant a lot of seeds. You have to give those seeds time to grow. You have to
Mhm.
nurture them. You got to water them. You got to feed them. Make sure they get their proper amount of sunshine daily. You have to do that for a long period of time before those leaves start to peek up out of the soil.
Mhm.
So you just got to hang in there. But once you get it growing and you got a nice little orchard going, you got it made.
Okay, okay. Okay, so this industry that you're in, this logistics business, this is like most of your background from what I read in your bio. Logistics is where you have your most experience. Would you agree?
Well, no, most of my experience is actually in banking. I've been in logistics for 10 years. I was in banking for probably 14, 15 years before that.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Okay.
I bank logistics companies. So it's kind of, it's all hand in hand.
Well, yeah. So your
Yeah.
knowledge base is
Yeah.
gonna go back more than 10 years of the
Oh
logistics
yeah, absolutely. 20
industry.
over 25 years. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So would you say that uh did you choose the business or did the business choose you?
The hustle chose me.
The hustle.
Yeah. When you say business, you mean business generally or this particular business that I'm in right
This
now?
particular business that you're in right now.
So the way I started this business was with a problem. And that's what I tell most entrepreneurs. The best businesses are the businesses that were started based on a problem, right? You don't want to be the vitamin, you want to be the aspirin. You want to be solving problems for customers. And the bigger the market is of that problem, the better you'll do if you can deliver that solution in convenient
Mhm.
and practical way from a cost standpoint. If you can do those two things, if you have an accessible and affordable solution to a big problem, you'll make a lot of money. You make a lot of money really fast.
Okay. All right. So, and that's a debate. That's debatable, I think, because, uh, sometimes. So, would you say that you don't have to love what you do? That's your opinion, then, right?
Yeah, I think entrepreneurship can be very practical and very pragmatic, and it can be very scientific as well. I think in trying to find a solution for a problem, I think you need to formulate a hypothesis about what the problem is. I think you need to gather data and gather research. I think you need to test that hypothesis. And I think based on that data and research, you can iterate on your solution. And I think you do that until you find the right solution.
Okay.
You don't
Yeah.
have to love it, you just got to do it.
That's that. Yeah. That's a lot of science and a lot of math and a lot of all
Well,
this stuff.
I'm a practitioner of management science. Right, I'm a practitioner. Look, that's the MIT in me, right?
That's the MIT.
We are practitioners of we are practitioners in the advancement of management science.
So, do you love logistics?
Uh, I like logistics. I love my kids, and so I'm willing to do what it takes to make sure they can live out their dreams.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Who
I
was
love football. I'd rather be, somewhere coaching high school football right now, but
okay?
that's
But
not a possibility at the moment. So let's do logistics.
okay. All right. All right. All right. So, who are some of your mentors?
So I have spent the bulk of my career largely unmentored. I
Okay. Do you
think
have any?
mentors are very difficult to come by. I've had a lot of great examples around manhood, around discipline, around being organized, and around leadership, but no like mentorship in the realm of business. Mentorship in business is difficult because anytime the bottom line is involved, you look up to someone or you go to them for advice, before you know it, if it's a good deal, they're going to find a way to put themselves in the deal.
Mhm. Okay. For those who may just be tuning in, this is All Things Small Business, and we're talking to Antonio Barnes, who is CEO and founder of a company called Fridgio. And we're talking about the love affair of entrepreneurship. Do you have any virtual mentors, people that you may be or may have admired from afar, or that you tried to model your business after, things like that?
Yeah, Robert Smith. I've always been extremely impressed with his success in business. His approach was very similar to mine. He started out as a banker,
Mhm.
and then started buying companies, and now he's the wealthiest Black man in America. He's also an alpha, and so there was a lot of things to take away from his career.
Mhm.
What motivated me a lot and kind of was the North Star for me when I went on the entrepreneurial journey was Reginald Lewis. He wrote a book called Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? And it inspired me to not start my first business but buy my first business. And so that's kind of how I got started. So you know theoretically, I was mentored through kind of osmosis, the Reginald Lewis and the Robert Smiths of the world.
Okay. Okay. And can you talk about the process of buying a business?
Yeah. So the first company I bought was a third-party logistics company, or what we call a 3PL. I was a fleet of trucks and some warehouses, and the company has seen better days. They're emerging from bankruptcy. I got in on the deal, pennies on the dollar, and put together the financing to acquire the company.
Mhm. Okay. How difficult has it been uh, throughout no matter what business you've owned, has it been to find funding that you may have needed for a specific aspect of your business?
Yeah, so I've been fortunate on the funding side of things because I came from banking, so I always kind of knew where to go
Mhm.
for any particular situation, whether it was acquisition capital, working capital, short-term capital, long-term capital, debt, equity. Kind
Mhm.
of always knew where to go.
Mhm.
So I've been lucky on the funding side.
Mhm.
The biggest challenges I've had, at least initially, until I learned how to acquire companies, was managing the culture of these companies that you acquire.
Mhm.
Because not only you're acquiring the assets of the company, you're acquiring all their liabilities, and some of those liabilities don't exist on the balance sheet. They exist in the culture, they exist in the offices, they exist in the break room,
Yeah.
by the coffee machine. The issues exist, in the hallways, or in the case of logistics companies, those challenges might exist, in the truck lot, or in the warehouse.
So how do
Um,
you work through that?
well, you want to make sure that you interface with all the employees early, when you get there, and you want to empathize with them. You want to talk to them about what their day is, just like you asked me, hey, what does a day look like for you? Ask your employees, what does a day look like for you? And then you want to um, understand what their priorities are and align those priorities with the goals, short-term, long-term goals of the company, and create processes by which they can help the company achieve those goals. And then you want to make sure that their scope of employment and their scope of authority are aligned as well. One of the best ways to burn out your employees is to give them a lot of responsibility and no authority. It burns people out quicker than anything.
So a lot of responsibility and no authority?
And no authority, meaning, okay, we need to have these 100 trucks out today, but we need to review and sign off on every load that's going out. Okay, so you just tasked this person with a heavy workload, but you made the organization less efficient and the operations less efficient, because now that person has to go to someone else before the trucks can go out. Right? So in that particular case, it shouldn't be that person's responsibility to have the 100 trucks go out if they can't authorize the truck to in fact leave. Right. So you need to create processes that align, that person's responsibility with their authority.
Do you let?
That's also an experimental process. You want to formulate a hypothesis about what their authority and their responsibility should be, and then you run experiments to test it. I read somewhere that Google runs 3,000 experiments a day.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So everything they do is based on science and data. They don't shoot from the hip on any decisions.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Get good at running experiments.
Do you allow, or have you allowed some of those employees to actually create those processes that you're talking about?
Absolutely. We encourage creativity, but again, it's got to be based on data. So one thing you want to do is you want to lead by example. So you want to be very open and forthright about how you manage and how you came to a decision. And so I used to whiteboard decisions all the time for my team members, just so they can see how I think. I even showed them the diagram of how I created Fridgio and the thought process around it, so they could get some glimpse into my thinking.
You said you gave them a diagram?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
You sound like
drew it all out. Arrows and circles and triangles and squares, and said, this is how I got here. And this is why you're sitting in your desk right now, because this is how we got here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back up just for a second, right? Because you were in banking, you know where to go for all you've been fortunate when it comes to funding. What advice do you have for companies who are not so fortunate and looking for funding sources for their business?
Ask for help. There are a number of funding sources out there. You can start with your local SBA office. You can start with a Small Business Development Center. We have one at Howard University that's really good. And they'll look at your business type, the market you're in, and your background, and you can create a plan for how to get funded. And that is not to say that you'll get funding tomorrow, that they'll give you some magic recipe to get funding tomorrow, but they'll give you a framework to put yourself in the best position to get funded for whatever that looks like for your business, whether you're, opening a restaurant or trying to start a, steel stamping manufacturing company, whatever that might be.
And if you're just tuning in, we're talking to Antonio Barnes, who is a Howard University graduate, HU. And an MIT graduate. We bring only the smartest people on to talk about how to run business. Okay. All right. Okay. So how do you pay it forward as a business owner? You said you really didn't have many mentors.
Right. But I mentor people all the time.
Okay.
I try to be the person I needed
Mm-hmm.
when I was starting out in business, just like
Mm-hmm.
that's my parenting style as well, right? I try to be the person I needed when I was a kid.
Okay.
Um, so, I'm mentoring a couple of startups now, and I had lunch today with two very bright gentlemen who are looking to strike out on their own as well. And I do it all the time. And I
Mm-hmm.
talk to them about what the steps are, and I make myself available for whenever they might have questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't put myself in any of their transactions or any of their deals.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
Mm-hmm.
need to, so I don't do
You-
it.
and you wouldn't even if they asked.
No,
Mhm.
no. All I can do is put them in a position to be successful, connect them with the right people via email or phone calls, help them formulate a clear and concise plan, actionable steps to realize that plan, and we go from there.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. I want to switch gears. 'Cause you sound like you sound like you talk about this stuff all the time.
I have these conversations all the time.
Mhm.
Whether they be, just sitting across the table from somebody eating a sandwich, it's the same conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit. Okay. So we're no longer on a date anymore. We're gonna talk about AI because we've talked
Okay.
about that before, right? And
Yep.
I want to play a. Well, wait a minute. I think I want to bring up this thing here. So I want to talk about how AI is impacting small businesses today, in your opinion, and um, how you're using it. Are you using it? You got to
We
be
are.
talking about, you draw diagrams and stuff to explain how Fridgio got started and everything. So,
Right.
um, yeah, let's talk about that. Let's see. Can you see what's on the screen?
No, I can't see it.
You can't see what's on the screen. Okay, let's see what. Oh, because I didn't choose it. Here we go. Share. There we go. Now, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. I found this article on how it's going to transform businesses, right?
Hmm.
Um, and oh, wait a minute. I have to go to it so I can scroll. What I found here is 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 it well how AI is going to transform businesses, and it is saying that AI is not a replacement for human intelligence and ingenuity.
No, artificial intelligence isn't very intelligent. You have to give it its information. And I give you an example. I had a professor at MIT say this. He said, that's not my original phrase. I borrowed that from him.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that, artificial intelligence isn't very intelligent. I'll give you an example of how that works. So you could show AI a video, right? Of a person walking into a room through a door, tripping and falling. And you could show AI 20 different videos of 20 different people walking into a room tripping and falling. Now, if a human being sees people walk into a room and trip and fall, it's natural for us to look at the floor
Mm-hmm.
and determine that, there must be something sticking up, a board sticking up out of the floor that's catching the feet of people, because we know naturally 20 people aren't going to fall and trip in the same place.
Okay.
AI won't do that. AI will assume that there's something wrong with people, right? Which is not the right answer.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to tell it that something's wrong with the floor for it to gather that
Okay.
information.
Okay. So you
Yeah.
have to.
So AI is only as good as the data set.
Okay. So you have to give it all the variables. Okay.
Hmm.
That's a scientific term. I.
Yeah. You got to get all the variables. That's correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. How do you use AI in your business?
Well, we used it from the very beginning. We use, and I see you got ML down there. That stands for machine learning.
Mm-hmm.
And what machine learning is just, complex mathematical computations for predictive analytics. And it allows you to predict things. And so the way we used it from the very beginning is we used linear regression, multivariable linear regression, to
Mm-hmm.
determine truck pricing. And that's what allows us to Uberize freight rates. So it works just like Uber. Uber uses it, right? You have machine learning on your phone if you click get an Uber.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it works is we created this algorithm that says, okay, we're going to use these variables to determine trucking prices. We're going to look back. We're going to do the 14-day median average from zip code to zip code of the price of trucks. We're going to look at how many trucks are available in the market of origin. And then we're going to look at fuel prices to know what we can add for a fuel surcharge. We're going to take the median of that, and then we're going to mark that up by 15%. So there's a few variables there in the algorithm that we use to calculate the pricing of trucks and predict the pricing of shipping rates. And we do that every time a customer comes to our website, puts in the zip code of a pickup, puts in the zip code of the delivery. We calculate based on the mileage what that rate's going to be given those variables. And we do it every single time. So it's multivariate linear regression, which is a machine learning model.
Okay. Okay. This is the first time I've heard anybody reference an algorithm outside of the topic of social media. So
yeah, social media, but it works like that in social media too, which is why when you click in social media, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook, you get more of that information because you're accumulating data in the algorithm. So the algorithm is predicting that that's what you want, and it's giving you more of it. Which is why you'll program yourself into some pretty extreme thinking if you stay on social media too long.
Okay.
You're programming yourself.
Oh, okay. Okay. I want to play this video for you because now, I mean, well, let me just ask you this question though.
Sure.
How necessary is AI for small businesses today and in the future, in your opinion?
It's important today. It'll be more important in the future. Artificial intelligence isn't like, the technology law that says, technology doubles every 18 months. In artificial intelligence, it'll be 10x in 18 months. But there are a lot of, I don't think small business owners need to have to understand artificial intelligence necessarily, in as much as they do just have appreciation for it.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is that, if you use QuickBooks to balance your books, what QuickBooks is going to do is going to start giving you predictive models that say, okay, if you stay on this performance track with these revenues and these costs, these are going to be your profits at the end of the year. It'll make that prediction for you, as opposed to you putting a spreadsheet and doing a future value calculation and trying to figure out what your real profits are going to be going forward. QuickBooks will do that for you, and it'll do that using, machine learning models.
Okay, so all of these things that you're talking about that you have to do in your business, the person who is working with the algorithm, the person who is putting in the variables and all of that stuff, who is that person in the business?
So I built the pricing algorithm for my business.
Okay.
I learned how to build data models in graduate school when I was in my master's program at MIT. And that was one of the things that I took to my software engineers. I built it basically in Microsoft Excel using an add-in called Solver, which allows you to build predictive analytics models. And then what I did is I took that spreadsheet and gave it to that spreadsheet model and gave it to my software engineers, and they coded it in Python. And
why couldn't you just tell them what you wanted and let them do all of that?
Because I wanted to do it myself. That's my intellectual property, right? That's my intellectual property. And you shouldn't be in a business where, people know, more about the core of the business than you do. Like, I wanted to be able to understand those things so that I could explain to customers, this is how we price it for you.
But
in detail.
Okay, but what you gave them, are they able to find out what your intellectual property is?
Who?
The software engineers.
Yeah, they work for me, so it's fine. They're all under contract.
Okay. So do they have NDAs and stuff? Like if they leave, so do they have to sign something that says that they're not going to take that information with them?
Yeah, they have, in their employment agreements, there are NDA, regarding our intellectual property. Most software companies, when you take employment at a technology company, they're gonna make you sign stuff saying you can't take their code with you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, you'll know it, but if I see my codes popping up on other people's platforms, it's gonna be a problem, especially if I know I got a former employee that works there, right? Like, that's guaranteed litigation, right? Like, guaranteed.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna play a video for you. Let's see, for everybody. Share the screen. Okay. this is about jobs, because you and I had a conversation that about how AI is going to replace jobs, right?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Oops. Let's replay that. Okay.
The Oxford study frightened a lot of people. You just Google 47% job loss, and you're going to see that number over and over again. And I think people were deliberately playing on fear with that, because they didn't say 47% of jobs are going to be lost. They go out of their way to say, we are not saying 47% of the jobs are being lost. We are not saying that. But the headlines were 47% of jobs are going to be lost. What they said was 47% of the things people do in their jobs can be automated. And that's a completely different thing. And by the way, that's not even particularly big news. My father sold insurance for 25, 30 years. And I'm sure along the way, 47% of the stuff he did in his job was automated. And that's what's going on. The OECD, on the other hand, said, we want to figure out actually what jobs are going to be eliminated. Not the skill-based approach, but a whole different way. And they said, over the similar time period, we're going to lose 9% of jobs. And then you say, well, 9% of jobs in 20 years, that still sounds like a lot. But if you think about it, that's pretty much the normal churn of the economy. If you look at 1950 to 2000, you probably lost 30%. Switchboard operators went away, and typewriter repairmen lost their jobs and all of that. That is probably a normal rate that technology just creates and destroys new industries. And it does it reasonably gradually. It isn't quite as dramatic as people say.
Okay. Do you believe that there's a crisis when it comes to AI and jobs, and how it's going to affect the economy in the future?
Yeah. But I think it's going to affect certain sectors more than others. I think you're going to see it affected more in, believe it or not, the quantitative jobs. Because what machine learning models and AI is really good at is math. So jobs that require rote math, actuaries, like he was just talking about insurance, right? You can go online right now and get an insurance policy, and it'll calculate your insurance premium based on their risk model. Well, a risk model is just predictive analytics, right? And prescriptive analytics, because it's prescribing a rate to you. So, all those things are already happening, and that's already transforming the insurance industry.
Okay.
Right? The MetLifes and New York Lifes of the world don't need nearly as many people as they used to do these things now. Once the data model's built and you keep feeding it data, it'll keep churning out rates.
Okay.
You just need enough people to keep the model honest.
Okay, so
yeah, financial trader, that's probably going away. Paralegal, that's probably going away, because large language models can replace paralegals over time.
Yeah.
Because if you keep feeding the large language model case studies, case after case after case after case law, it's going to get smart around those decisions and why judges are making those decisions and the consistencies in those decisions.
Yeah, I was looking for the part of the article where it talked about the AI. It said,
yeah, the jobs it will replace. If you go down customer services, right, it's going to replace them. Yeah.
Right, but I'm just looking at this part here where it says how many it's going to replace. It says that AI is expected to replace 85 million jobs worldwide by 2025, which is next year, which I don't know that they're on target for that.
That seems a little aggressive.
Yeah.
So this is what's holding up AI. It's actually some very practical things. One of them being computing power. AI requires a lot of energy and a lot of processing power in computers. You need really powerful computers with a lot of memory built in. And there are places in the world where their computing power is just not readily available. And the energy to power those computers isn't readily available, right? So you need a few things for AI to take root. You need reliable and available power. And you need really, really powerful computers, and then you need the people to program them. So you might have people that can program them, but those other two things can be difficult.
Okay. If 85 million jobs worldwide are at stake, What's
Yep.
the solution? Because here's the thing. It also says here that,
Ordinary income. Yeah. You're going to have to just start giving people checks.
huh? Can you hear me? Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. Now, yeah. But it also says that AI is also going to create 97 million new jobs. So is that the solution? I mean, are we just
If those people who are losing their jobs are in a position to retrain and reskill. So my younger brother Marco right now is in graduate school at Georgia Tech, and one of the things he's working on is labor sustainability and how to repurpose people without mass layoffs. And he's writing a book about it actually, and quickly becoming one of the thought leaders on the approach. And it is, retraining and reskilling people where they are, as opposed to mass layoffs. All these people have to go back to, wherever they were doing before. In other words, he works in automotive. So if internal combustion engines are going out and being replaced by EVs, then you'll need to reskill the people in your manufacturing plant for the internal combustion engines that have, say, electrical experience. Say they were installing the electrical systems in cars. These are the people who understand working around wires and power cables. Those people can be reskilled to assemble EVs. Now, the people who were, installing tires, maybe not. Those might be your casualties, but there can be some sustainable aspects to even the labor market.
So do you think that the transition can take place smoothly?
It depends on what end of the transition you're on. If you're on the side of, say someone like me who has a software company that uses, elements of machine learning and artificial intelligence, sure, the transition is going to be great for me, right? But if you're, the customer service rep for, Bank of America, and Bank of America moves to, artificial intelligence for customer service, then, maybe not so much, right? You got to reskill. And so that's going to be bumpy for you.
Okay. You know what I think? I think that AI, the situation that we're in with AI, is almost generational, right?
Sure.
My mother, who is 83, doesn't even know how to check the voicemail on her cell phone or text or use the computer. Like, yeah. But I do, right? Now, I know other people her age do know how to use computer. They do know how to check their voicemails. My mother's just a whole different situation. But for me, my kids, they're more onto electronics and learning things. So it's generational because I think their minds are younger and they're going to be more open to the change and they're going to be born into it. So even the kids that come after them, they'll be born into it. So they're learning. So I kind of feel like the transition won't be as bad, right? Because maybe by the time it's fully integrated, we'll all be retired. And
right. So there's going to be a delay, right? So like you said, it's going to be generational. So as that customer service rep from Bank of America becomes displaced because, he or she has been replaced by an artificial intelligence solution, the delay will be how quickly can that person reskill? Because how quickly that person can reskill and get back to earning a livable wage will directly affect their children and their children's access to the types of devices and technology that you and I take for granted every day. So it's a reinforcing, there's a delay in the feedback loop there, right? So we can't think about these things in a linear way. We got to think about these things in a systemic way. And where the delays are, where the results are going to manifest themselves, and then what the loop is from that manifestation. So if that person at Bank of America loses their job and their children miss out on opportunities, then they're going to be behind the children that stayed in the loop. And then there's going to be a delay for them catching up. And that's generational. But what it does is it creates separation in society.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's next for Antonio Barnes?
New companies, new ideas. I have a new idea I'm working on right now that's in pre-development. We're prototyping a new solution. It's a supply chain solution that we think allows for disparate supply chain systems to communicate with one another. And so maybe in the next 3 or 4 months, we'll be talking about what that solution is and rolling it out with some corporate partners that you would know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're always busy, my man. This is stuff that keeps me up at night. How can we solve more problems?
Not stuff that you're in love with.
I'm in love with problem solving.
Okay. Okay. If anybody wanted to get in contact with you, how could they reach you?
Well, you can always reach me on LinkedIn. That's usually the best way. And happy to connect with people on LinkedIn and continue to build a network. And
And if they want more information about your company, they go to
Fridgio. Oh yeah, you can go to Fridgio.co. That's FRIDGIO.co.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming on this date with me tonight.
Thank you.
All right. I would like to thank Antonio for coming on tonight. And I'd also like to get the opinions of what you may think about the information presented in this video in the comment section below. I'd like to know if you'd agree with myself and or Antonio about anything in the video. If I would also like for you to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. Love you.